Hi, I'm Dick Davies. I'm your host for this showing of Inside Leisure World. I think you're going to enjoy this show. We have some very interesting topics, and we have a very interesting person to talk to. Bill Narang, the administrator of Leisure World, is here to speak to us on several subjects. Bill, welcome. Nice to have you. And I think first thing I'd like to talk about is the mortgage payoff. I understand Mutual One is probably the first one that's going to be paying off their mortgage. Could you tell us a little about it?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Davies. I'm really delighted to be here.
Well, thank you.
To come and share with you some of those things that you want to know. Yes, Mutual One is coming up for mortgage payoff in November of 2002. And right after that, most of the mutuals are going to be paid off by the end of 2005. And oftentimes people do ask, what will happen to the Leisure World once the mortgages are paid off. And as we have stated before, we have published in the newspaper and talked about this subject that really not much is going to change because of the existing agreements that Golden Rain Foundation has with all of the mutuals. You probably will see not really a great deal of change. Community will go on, and one of the major change will happen, which is that there will be no longer any expense for principal, interest, and mortgage insurance premium. I think for most of the residents, they can be rest assured the community will continue on operating as it's been operating for the last 40 years now.
Yeah, all right, that's good news. Then are they numerically in order? In other words, after 1, 2 is the next one to pay off, or?
Yeah, for the most part, it's going to start with Mutual One, and then some of them you will see the Mutual One, Mutual Two, Mutual Three, and then on, and there might be each of the mutuals may overlap. So you could have, for example, in 2003 or 2004, multiple mutuals will be paying off their mortgages. And when you talk about the mortgage payoff, really what the event is, 40 years ago, when Seal Beach Leisure World was built, each mutual signed a mortgage note with the lender, with the Department of Housing and Urban Development guaranteeing the loan. And that's in essence what we have done. We have fulfilled our obligation of making the payments for mortgage, interest, principal, and mortgage insurance premium.
That's good news. I heard something about the last original person here. There's some time after that last person does die. Could you explain that a little bit?
Sure. I think some residents were wondering, because Golden Rain Foundation is the entity which oversees and manages the place and has the common area interest, under their control. And when originally the mortgages were created and Seal Beach Leisure World was built, there was a trust agreement created between the mutual and the Golden Rain Foundation. And one of the provision in that trust is that they wanted to make sure the Leisure World will continue on operating the way it is. So they said, until the death of the last original owner in mutual number 1, then at that time, this trust can keep on operating for approximately 21 more years after that. So yes, we are keeping track of it. We have at present 4 residents who are still the original owners of mutual number 1. And when the last person is gone, and then that clock starts to tick, for 21 approximately years. So Leisure World will continue on operating if that's what the desire of the most of the people in the community is.
I can't see any problem with that or my not being here. Well, I won't be here after another 21 years, I'm sure.
I hope you are, a lot of people you'll be here,
Okay.
We got to be optimistic.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to have you discuss with us is the Leisure World's 40th anniversary is coming up. And when's that going to be, and what's going to happen?
Well, the Golden Rain Foundation President, Mr. Tom Barrett, appointed a special committee consisting of many of the residents of the community, and Mrs. Mildred Tuttle is the chair of that committee. And what his vision was that he liked to do something for the community to celebrate the active living of 40 years of this community. Back in 1962, it was a remarkable vision somebody had to create a community such like our community.
Right.
And we have successfully, managed and operated the community for the benefit of the residents. So the board thinks that it would be a good idea to celebrate the 40 years of successful active living in the community. So he has appointed a committee, and we are planning at this time, sometimes in the month of June of year 2002, we will have celebration. There are some plans being made right now. We will have a parade. We will have some sort of a carnival affair, a very special performance in our amphitheater.
Excellent.
So our residents can enjoy. And I think it's going to be time where we will be able to share with our residents, their family, their friends, how this community got started, what we had to do, where we came from, and we look forward to the future. So 40 years celebration is going to be, I believe, it's a major milestone that all of the residents of this community can be really proud of, and you look forward to seeing a wonderful event take place sometimes in June of 2002.
It figured to be a single-day event?
Yeah, it'll be a one-day event, probably start sometime around 11 in the morning, and it will go on pretty much to 3 or 4, and then it will wrap up in the evening with a live performance with some major artist and some performer. And we will have some, local and state and federal representative come, and we'll probably have some presentations with certain officials. And it is indeed a major celebration, but a one-day event, yes.
Oh, very good. Speaking of that, maybe talk a little bit about the Walkathon that's coming up. I've been asked by Carl Wiggins' wife,
Joy Wiggins?
Joy.
Yeah, she's the chair of that committee.
Right, asked if we would videotape again this year, and I told her we would. But that's quite an event every year.
It's a very important event, I think, because who sponsors it? Golden Age Foundation, which is a charitable organization consisting of all the residents. And Golden Age really does a absolutely remarkable job of raising funds, providing services for people who live inside Leisure World. The Rossmore bus goes into the community. They provide wheelchairs, walkers. They do lifeline system, provide a place for people to talk about in a clubhouse. They are always there to assist our residents with the meal program. Right. And I think the community is benefiting very much. And they do need to raise funds. And Walkathon this year is going to be on May the 20th. It's a Sunday. And it's a wonderful event for people to come and walk, and then it helps to raise a lot of funds for the Golden Age Foundation.
Yeah, and it's a walk that you can almost as you want to.
Right, and I think the mission is for people to make them aware of it, that walking is good for you, number one, and number two, make them aware of the Golden Age Foundation. And then this way, you can walk the entire course. It's inside Leisure World, very safe, secured. You bring your family, your friends, your grandchildren. You can come in your wheelchair. You can come with walker. You can, anyway you would like to walk, or you just like to observe. Even people come there. And there's going to be a sort of a event where some people are going to come and display their services for our residents too. So at the healthcare center parking lot, we will have about 2 hours of a lot of fun and games where people will be entertained and then go for a walk.
Right. The orchestra, I guess, is going to play.
I think
again?
there are some, Joy Wigan, who is the chair of this thing, she's organizing some bands, some orchestra people to come there, some clowns and other events she's planning. She does a great job every year. I want you to know that. I think she is to be thanked for her efforts and what she does for Golden Age.
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking
It is going to
forward
be a wonderful time. I'll be there, and I hope everybody can come there and walk.
Yeah, I'll be there with the videotape machine.
Thank you.
Taping it.
We thank you for doing that.
No problem. Another thing I think that's a great deal of interest in the community is the amphitheater seating. I know we had a major problem last year with some of the more liked performers, and could you tell us what happened to that?
Well, what happened, for almost 38 years now, as you know, our amphitheater is about 2,500 seat amphitheater, and we do very significant shows. There are about approximately 18 to 20 shows we do during the summer months, and they are open for our residents. But in the past, we have always allowed our residents to bring their guests there. And because of the limited seating capacity, when we have a prominent name show, then a lot of people want to come and attend because there is no charge, first of all. It's part of the Golden Rain overall budget process. And last 2-3 years when we had some big name events go on, we had problem of turning people away from that. And then we also need to comply with the city rules and regulations, the fire department code.
Right.
So Golden Rain had to amend this policy now. What we are asking the residents, that the determination is to be made by the recreation department and by the recreation committee, that when we have a prominent show, that we will announce it in the newspaper and let people know where we will only allow residents only. We ask all our residents to come in and see the show, bring their resident ID card with them. They can still bring their guest, but if we make the announcement in advance that we expect more than 2,500 people, we will limit the show to our residents only, and then maybe to some limit guests. Otherwise, it would be a security concern and safety for the residents. We have security personnel now checking everything to make sure the proper seating, no standing in the aisles. So we want to, we're concerned about our residents' safety and make sure that they can enjoy the show. And we have created some amendment to our policies which would help overall, handling of the show.
Right. I'm sure if the the fire chief found out we were having people sitting in the aisles, they'd shut us down.
And we are very much concerned with that. As you know, our community takes a lot of pride in making sure we comply with the rules and regulations of the city and the fire codes.
Right.
And I think even if the fire code, we don't want to violate any rules, number one. And I think it's for the safety of the people and for the enjoyment.
Right.
And we want to have those paramount concerns that we don't want anybody to get hurt there.
Are we limiting the time when people can come to the show? I know in the past, people have showed up and taken seats 2 hours, maybe 3 hours before the show time.
That is correct. That is one other provision we had to do. Now it's going to be limited, that for each show we'll make the announcement when we will allow the people to go into the theater. And that's being cut down, so you're not able to go there 3-4 hours in advance. And our recreation supervisor and our community facility manager and our security chief, they work together, consult with them, depending upon each show. Then we will announce those times in the newspaper. And policy has been published in the Golden Rain News a lot. And I think most of our residents are very well aware of it, and they continue to enjoy and follow those limited restrictions that we have.
And there will be security people there to make sure all this happens.
Yes, sir. Our staff, including security and recreation department staff, will be there, and we are confident that all our residents are going to have wonderful time.
Yeah, very good. And another extreme interest in the community is pets. And could you talk a little bit about the pet policies and why we're having to produce pet policies?
Well, for almost 38 years now, Seal Beach Leisure World residents who live there, they have expressed the desire that they don't want pets to be allowed in their community. And it has worked very well. As you know, we did a survey. Almost 80% of the people in the community do not wish to have pets.
Mm-hmm.
And many people moved into our community because we don't have a pet policy. But late last year, the legislature adopted a new law now. So state of California has a law that every common interest development community, such as ours, must allow people to have pets. As a result of that, because we want to comply with the laws, the Golden Rain Foundation and the mutuals had to come up with rules, regulation, and adopt a policy. They worked very hard. They reviewed interests of those people who want to have pet and interests of those people who don't want to have pet. Right. So the rules have been created. They were introduced to the community as of January 1 of 2001. And it's been about a little over 3 months now. We have approximately 40 residents who have come in to register their pets. For the most part, most of the residents are very responsible. They brought their pets, they registered them. We have a limit as far as how many pets you can have. There's only one pet allowed per apartment. There's a size and some other cleanup rules and regulations. Certain deposits have to be given. So we are working with those things. I think in the 3.5 months now, we are learning few things, what the community interest is. And I urge all the residents to please, if you're going to be owning a pet, we urge you to please comply with the rules and regulations. Make sure that your pet is in your control all the time. Make sure you register your pet. Come in to the stock transfer office, register it. You need to get a city permit for your pet too. That's the other requirement. So we ask you to go to the city of Seal Beach, get a pet license on that. And I think it's working well. There are some concerns. Some residents are concerned about cleaning people after their pets, and there are some provisions of the policies which we have been working with some of the clubs and organizations within the community that they need to be amended and changed in the next coming months. Golden Rain Foundation and the mutuals are going to look at that again to see what else we need to make changes. And we will be amending some of the policies to make it convenient for the pet owners, but above all to make sure that those people who don't want pets, their rights are also preserved. So it's a very sensitive issue, we have to work with it.
Yeah. I assume that the worked very hard in the beginning in creating these policies to make sure that they all complied within the law itself, so that the people are, what these rules are a part or parcel of the law itself.
The state of California and the federal regulations are pretty clear about what the mutual and the Golden Rain Foundation can adopt. And yes, you are right. The board of directors, who are volunteers, who are elected within the community, they really sat and sincerely and very carefully drafted the policies. They consulted with all of the professionals, they consulted with the lawyer, and then came up with the set of policies which we believe are to be given to the resident for the community. And yes, we are finding some need to be changed. And then mutuals are open and amenable to look into those things, and they are trying to now come up with some modifications. Mm-hmm. But I think it's an issue that we have to develop a balance for those people who want pets and for those people who don't want pets. But one thing for sure, the community has to allow pets. That is the law, and we must comply with it.
So the comments that I've seen in the paper that this was done totally by Golden Rain, that the Golden Rain is the one that allows pets, it's not true. It has to be done by law of the state of California.
Yes, sir. And there is just no way. I think the board of directors of the Golden Rain and the mutuals have really no choice in this case. They must permit those people who want to own a pet.
Okay. Very good. There's another ongoing thing in the city with Golden Rain, and that is the property along Westminster Avenue that we, a number of years ago, leased, I guess, to DWP, and they put a rail line in there.
Right.
That rail line has been gone for a long time now, and we've been trying very diligently to get that property turned back over to Leisure World. Could you update us a little bit on what's happening?
Sure. That property is on Westminster. You know, you see that little piece of property that goes along our perimeter wall. And yes, we did give the right-of-way to the DWP for railroad purposes. And since then, DWP has pretty much stopped using the railroad, and we have been working closely with the city of Seal Beach to convince DWP that they need to give the right-of-way back to us. And we've been negotiating, you're right, for years and years. And because of all of the requirements, you know, DWP, the city of Los Angeles, has some provisions that they just can't give their property back to someone. And as you know, Golden Rain Board has made some diligent effort in trying to come up with a resolution. I'm happy to report to you that I think with the help of the city of Seal Beach, our city inspectors and city managers, and also working with many of the volunteers, directors, with our council members, with our supervisors, and the representative from DWP. I am very, very close to finalizing the document now. They have agreed to give it back to us. I received the telephone call last week that the presentation which was made to them, it has been accepted by the first layer of approving authority, whatever they have. Now it's going to go to the council, and they are confident that we will be getting the right-of-way back to the Seal Beach Leisure World community.
Well, I know one of the, excuse me, one of the reasons for wanting it back is to put in a roadway along the back of the maintenance yard so that deliveries can be made right off of Westminster Boulevard instead of these heavy vehicles tracking through Leisure World on the roads in there. And that seems to me would be a real boon to the whole community.
I think our community probably will benefit a lot because but once we have the right-of-way back, we will create a loading and unloading dock for our purchasing department. Our maintenance department is there. And many of the deliveries which have to go through the entire community, it will certainly help the environment. We will have the ease and possibility of less accidents inside the community. We have heavy, weight trucks will not be going in there then. So it will help the community and create a better way of serving the residents and the city. In fact, at the main gate, as you know, we have tremendous amount of congestion. So this will give us another outlet to create that. And having the right-of-way back, it also provides some other opportunities for the community to use this piece of land for some other things which will benefit the residents.
Well, one of those things that concerns me, one thing that I've been pushing on for a long time myself, is a third gate where residents can get in and out of Leisure World, where emergency vehicles can get in and out. And I know we talked about the gate back by the library, but that doesn't seem practical because we don't want emergency vehicles, for instance, traveling around the Rose Garden. But it seems like if we get that property along Westminster, there may be a possibility of an outlet off of there.
That's some of the things I think Golden Rain can consider. Golden Rain can look at them. But for emergency vehicle, as you stated very well, the third gate by the library, we have given access to our fire department. They can come from there. And in case of an emergency, that gate is available for those purposes. But this would be like a fourth gate now if we are able to have access into the community. Removing those heavy duty equipment and vehicles from inside the community would help. And yes, down the road, Golden Rain Board may consider creating another gate and looking at it, and then seeing what opportunities lie ahead for the community to alleviate some traffic concerns.
Yeah, I know that some of the mutuals have been putting in cement pads in the areas where the trash trucks stop and load and unload to take some of the load off of the streets.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And we got about 3 minutes left. One last thing I think we can talk about is a disaster drill that's coming up.
Sure.
Are we doing that every year now? And what's going on?
As you know, we are part of the SIM program, and we work very closely with the city and the state. Golden Rain Foundation has made a commitment that we want to keep our residents informed and educated how to be prepared in case of an emergency or a disaster. So every 2 years we do a full-blown drill. This coming May the 4th, we have another full drill in conjunction with the fire department, with the city, with the county, and we are going to do Inside Leisure World. We have a full-time person assigned in the community whose job is to educate, train, inform through the Golden Rain News, through the building captain system, and every other year we do a tabletop drill, where we bring all various and responsible individuals who would be responsible in case of an emergency. I think it's a good practice that we let our residents know, and I hope you all can practice your own individual preparedness. Make sure you have a flashlight with you. Make sure you remain calm in case of an earthquake or in case of a fire, and continue to practice the preparedness. That is probably one of the best things you can do, and we are committed in doing that.
That's very good. I don't think we'll be able to see, that portion won't show up on the next showing of Inside Leisure World, but I think it's very important to know that people should be prepared.
Yes, sir.
And I know there are brochures that are available to tell people what they need to have in their home.
Right.
They should have slippers by their beds, flashlights, that sort of thing.
Right.
So I think we're just about there. Time goes fast when you're having fun.
That's right.
Mr. Narang, thank you very much for being here.
I want to thank you for having me here. I'm so glad that we are able to share some things.
It was an enjoyable half hour.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful.
Okay, thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you later.